Hey guys, Crystal here with Elijah's Prophetic Cup, and I wanted to get on today and share a message I felt kind of piggybacked off of Bonnie's video yesterday. So if you haven't already, go ahead and go back and watch that video before listening to this one. Um, I'll go ahead and link that somewheres in this video. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime that we upload. And if you're feeling really kind, go ahead and click the like button. That helps get the content of this channel out in front of more viewers. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get on with this message. Um, I was reading in Malachi 1, verses, we're going to start with verse 1 through 2. So let me pull that up real quick. Whenever we read Malachi, I want us to look at this as if it's a love letter from our Adonai to his people. In the beginning of this verse, it says, a prophecy, the word of Adonai to Israel through Malachi. I love you, says Adonai. But you ask, how do you show us your love? And then Adonai answers, Esau was Yaakov's brother. Yet I loved Yaakov, but hated Esau. I made his mountains desolate and gave his territory to desert jackals. And as I pondered that, I kept thinking, well, what is the difference between Jacob and Esau? So let's go ahead and skip to verse 6. A son honors his father and a servant his master. But if I'm a father, where's the honor due me? And if I am a master, where's the respect due me? Says Adonai, Lord of hosts, to you Kohanim who despise my name. You ask, how are we despising your name? By offering polluted food on my altar. Now you ask, how are we polluting you? By saying that the table of Adonai doesn't deserve respect. So this brought me back to the whole thought of give honor and give glory where it's due. And a lot of us in ministry, we always have to be checking on our hearts. We have to look to the Father, and anytime something comes our way, we just got to give it right back to Him. You know, sometimes that could be an uncomfortable place where man is giving you these words, these accolades. We're just to give it back to the Father. And this is a question He is asking His children. We have to remember, all of Scripture was written for believers. All of it. It's not written to the people who don't read it. It's written to us. When I ponder that, it really makes me wonder, like, where is my heart? And I was thinking about Korach and Moses, and I believe it's Numbers 16, where Korach decides to rise up with his little crew of men against Moses and Aaron, and he challenges him, and he tells him, is not the whole nation of Israel a nation of priests? Well, he wasn't wrong in that, because a Kohen is just a priest. And yes, there was that type of sect where they were true Kohens by lineage and by blood, but there's also that spiritual aspect of the whole nation of Israel being like priests, holy and set apart, a treasure to the Father. So when we really think about what happened to Korach and why him and his whole crew came to an end, it had to do with the heart. It had heart issues. So how are we disrespecting Adonai, and how are we not really loving on him like we should? Those are questions we all need to really ponder. So let's go ahead and go to chapter 2 of Malachi. And we're going to start with, let me see, verse 1 through 2. And he says, now, priests, Kohanim, this command is for you. If you won't listen, if you won't pay attention to honoring my name, says Adonai, Lord of hosts, then I will send the curse on you. I will turn your blessings into curses. Yes, I will curse them, because you pay no attention. Yet again, this whole Bible, from the beginning to the end, is written to us. What are we missing, family? What are we missing, Israel? Now, I'd like to go ahead and go down to, let's see, verses 7 through 8. And again, he's talking to the Kohen. A Kohen's lips should safeguard knowledge, and people should seek Torah from his mouth, because he is the messenger of Adonai, Lord of hosts. Going back to Korach and Moses, when Korach came to Moses and told him, "Are we not all a nation of priests?" Moses fell on his face. And a little bit later on in the chapter, we read how both Moses and Aaron fell on their face. This is a heart issue. It goes back to the heart. Moses and Aaron were willing to look inside and say, well, what is the issue within me? They fall on their face in humility to seek the Father. I believe that's what he wants us all to do. If we go to Exodus 19, let's start at verse 3. Moses went up to God, and Adonai called to him from the mountain. Here is what you are to say to the household of Jacob, to the people of Israel. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you will pay careful attention to what I say and keep my covenant, then you will be my own treasure from among all the peoples. For all the earth is mine, and you will be a kingdom of Kohanim for me, a nation set apart. These are the words you are to speak to the people of Israel. Let's backtrack. What was up with Korach and his men? If we are all a nation of priests, why did the earth swallow them up? Why did Moses and Aaron fall on their faces? Remember in Malachi, he says, verse 2, I will turn my blessings into curses. Yes, I will curse them because you pay no attention. I can't stress this enough. What are we missing? What are we not paying attention to? I felt led to go and read Ezekiel 23. And this is just a warning. This is a very explicit verbiage going on in this chapter. So let's go to Ezekiel 23. I'm going to start at verse 1. The word of Adonai came to me. Human being, there are two women, daughters of the same mother, who were whores in Egypt. Even as young girls they were whores. There they let their breasts be caressed, and their virgin nipples were fondled. Their names were Oholah, the older one, and Oholiva, her sister, the younger one. They belonged to me. So I felt led to go look up the names of these women. In my mind, I'm right away, who are these women? Do they pertain to us nowadays? So the older sister, Oholah, means she who has a tent, and she represents Samaria. Samaria means a place of watch. So automatically my brain just starts going to a tent. This is a covering. This is the eagle's wings back in Exodus. Do we pay attention? When I hear the word Samaria and it means a place of watch, of keeping, I hear the word Shema, to guard, hear, learn, obey. Are we guarding what he told our ancestors at the mountain? Do we really grasp what it was that he was sharing with us? Was it just all these commandments and all these rules and regulations, or was it who he was? Was it his heart? Was he sharing his love to us? Now, the younger sister, Oholiva, means my tent is in her. Again, this is the covering. This is a covenant. This is love language, you guys. This is a love language from our Creator to us. And she represents Jerusalem. And Jerusalem means a foundation of peace, a possession of peace. And when I think of peace, I've always been taught the Hebraic word is shalom, and it means a wholeness. Almost as if your whole world could be crashing down around you and you have this wholeness because of who he is in you. So when we put those names together, let's think about this. She who has a tent. These are his children. And he's explaining all through chapter 23 of Ezekiel that we have done nothing but hoard around since Egypt. And to all these other places, Assyria, Babylon. And it just makes me wonder, who are these two women in our generation now? Can we see that in ourselves? Are we willing to fall on our faces like Moses and Aaron and ask him, like David, search our hearts? If there's anything in there that shouldn't be, Father, expose it, shine your light. We know the darkness is coming. We know the famine of his word and the famine of his love and his light is coming. Can we still stand strong? Can we still be like Yeshua, the man of sorrow, and suffer and endure through the night because of these amazing stars, these sheep that he has given that are going to be coming forth, that are going to need his light, groping in the dark, looking for the light? Can we be that? We can't be that until we deal with our own hearts. So let's go back to the word. Even when she belonged to me. To belong to someone is, it means you belong to them. This is a covenant. This is as if a husband is talking to his wife. You are now mine. You belong to me. Can you imagine your spouse going and cheating on you like Hosea, and you just having this longing for her to receive you, but she can't? I feel like that's how our Father feels sometimes, just this immense grief because he loves his children. He loves us so much, but we still have yet to understand how to love him back. Verse 5. Even when she belonged to me, Oholah prostituted herself. She lusted after her lovers from Assyria. Warriors dressed in blue, governors, rulers of all, good-looking young men riding on horseback. She gave herself as a whore to them, all of them, the elite of Assyria, and she defiled herself with all the idols of everyone she lusted after. She did not give up the whoring she had begun in Egypt, where men had sex with her, fondled her virgin nipples, and flooded her with their fornication. When we go back and we think of Egypt, the name Egypt means temple of Ptah, and that was the Egyptians' creator God. So in a sense, it's a mockery of our Father. Instead of really following who he is and the temple foundation he put down for us, we follow some other temple, some other creative God, right? Egypt is also known in the Hebrew as Mitzrayim, and that means a double siege. It means a double distress. We know that history repeats itself, and we know coming out of Egypt was just the beginning. Adonai goes on to say, so I handed her over to her lovers, the men of Assyria she lusted after. They exposed her private parts, took her sons and daughters, and put her to death with the sword, so that she became notorious among women for the judgments executed against her. Her sister Oholibah saw this. Nevertheless, she was worse than her sister in lusting and likewise in whoring. She lusted after the men from Assyria, governors and rulers, warriors dressed to perfection, skilled horsemen, all of them good-looking young men. When I think of Assyria, I'm thinking about some kind of large world ruler where people are just tantalized by, by the world and its system and all its luxuries and its materials, when we forget who the creator and giver of all is. With sashes wrapped around their waists and flowing turbans from their heads, all of them looking like military men, the very image of Babel, born in the land of the Chaldeans. The moment she saw them, she lusted after them and sent messengers to them in the land of the Chaldeans. And the men of Babel climbed into her love bed and defiled her with their lust. She was defiled by them and then filled with revulsion at them. Isn't that what we do? We bring in all these things that should not come into our covenant relationship with our heavenly husband. And we expose all of our intimate places with these things. And then after we've done so, we are revulsed by it. There's a well-known saying that says sin fascinates before it assassinates. And I believe that to be true. So let's get back to here. She was defiled by them, and then filled with revulsion at them. Thus did she reveal her fornication, expose her private parts. When this happened, I was filled with revulsion at her, just as I had been filled with revulsion at her sister. Still she kept increasing her whoring, remembering the days when she was young, fornicating in the land of Egypt. Yes, she lusted after the male prostitutes, whose members are like those of donkeys, and who ejaculate like stallions. You yearned for the lewdness of your girlhood, when the Egyptians used to fondle your nipples and caress your young breasts. When I read this, I had to place myself like these women and ask him to search my heart. Um, you know, when we're reading scripture, our Father is really trying to get us to see him, to accept him, to love him. When he made that covenant with us on Mount Sinai, it's not done away with. It was never put to the side. We didn't keep our end of the bargain, and he knew it. All through scripture he tells us, just like in Egypt, we left Egypt, but we're still doing these things that grieves his heart. And I know this is a hard message, but I felt like it needed to go out. I felt like there are times that we need to really just sit down, honestly, get on our faces and seek our Father and ask him, like, what are we doing to make you grieve? What are we doing? Because Yeshua had to be a man of sorrows. You know, Yeshua came and paid the price. In Torah, they would pay a price for the bride. We are the bride. And he's talking about how we go around and we commit harlotry with everything that comes around us. And I know we sit here and we think, well, that's not me. You know, I keep Torah and I eat clean foods, and it has to be. It has to be us in some sense. Why would he be writing it? I don't mean this message in any way, shape, or form to be pointing a finger. I wanted to share this because this is something that I felt I had to do myself. It brings me a lot of grief when I think about my father, knowing that all he wants is our love. All he has ever wanted was his bride to be pure before him, to only allow him into those intimate places. I'm hoping that this message comes across from a place of love and not so much a place of judgment. I think we all need to sit down and really check our hearts and see, are we going to be like Moses and David, or are we going to be like Esau and Korach? Because it's always about the heart. And when it's all said and done, we will stand before our heavenly husband and we'll have to answer for everything that we've done. And that's terrifying. Yeshua wishes that no man shall perish. And, you know, we know that darkness is coming upon the land, and we need to be that bride that shines so beautifully in the dark for those dry bones to come alive, those sleeping giants. So I pray this has blessed you. Until next time, guys, shalom.